Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everyday Real English from Real Life podcast.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into something really universal, how we introduce ourselves and make small talk, especially when we're connecting with people from different cultures, whether you're maybe navigating a new international school or a diverse workplace or even just traveling. Being able to communicate respectfully and, confidently can make such a difference.
It really can. And what's fascinating here is just how much impact those first few moments, those very first interactions can have. They truly shape a relationship. They kind of set the tone for everything that follows. So this ability to communicate effectively across diverse backgrounds, it's not just nice to have. It's invaluable.
I couldn't agree more. So you might be asking, why does this multicultural communication matter so much? Well, just think about it for a second. People from different cultures can have really, really varied comfort levels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Things like eye contact, how they greet people, or even what kind of personal questions feel okay to ask when you're just, getting to know someone.
And this is exactly where misunderstandings can pop up so easily, often from something that seems tiny, really subtle. Like, did you know that in Egypt, nodding your head up actually means no, and nodding down means yes?
Wow, really? That's the complete opposite for many of us.
Exactly. Or think about Greece, showing the palm of your hand like a stop sign. We might do that casually elsewhere, but there, it's actually considered quite rude. These small gestures, things we might barely register, they carry huge cultural meaning. They can completely change how someone perceives the interaction.
That's incredible how tiny little things can lead to pretty big miscommunications. And that's precisely why using respectful and maybe flexible English is just so crucial. It helps us build, genuine connections and avoid those awkward moments, ideally, before they even happen. It really boils down to being mindful, doesn't it? And open.
It really does. And the good news, the really good news, is that by learning just a few adaptable expressions, a few conversation tips, small talk doesn't just become more comfortable. It can actually become more meaningful, more successful. It's all about proactively bridging those cultural gaps.
Okay, so let's dive into some practical English expressions then. Things that can smooth the way for these multicultural introductions and, friendly chats. When you're meeting someone new, you could start pretty simply. Something like, "Hi, I don't think we've met yet. My name is your name." It's polite, it's direct, gets the ball rolling.
Right, and once the names are out there, a natural next step is often learning a bit about their background. But you want to phrase it thoughtfully,
Absolutely. So instead of maybe a really blunt, "Where are you from?" which can sometimes feel a bit like an interrogation, you could try, "Where are you originally from?" Or maybe, "Did you grow up here or abroad?" These feel a bit softer. They invite a little more story. And if you're curious about someone's name, asking something like, "That's a beautiful name. Does it have a special meaning?" That can be a really lovely way to connect.
That's a great point about names. They often carry so much cultural weight. And to keep that conversation flowing, you can follow up with questions like, "What brings you here?" Or maybe, "How long have you been in current place?"
Yeah, or if they're new, something like, "What do you like most about living here so far?" It shows real interest.
Exactly. Genuine interest.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Introducing what we can call softeners or clarifiers. These are just so important to avoid sounding too direct, maybe a bit intrusive, especially if you feel you're getting near a potentially sensitive topic. You could start a question with, "If you don't mind me asking." Or maybe just add, "Feel free to skip this if it's too personal." Simple as that.
And this raises a really important question, right? How do you show you're genuinely interested without crossing a line, without overstepping? These softeners are absolutely key. They aren't just about politeness on the surface. They show cultural awareness. They give the other person control, space to decide what they want to share.
Yeah.
That respect for boundaries, well, that builds a much stronger foundation of trust, doesn't it?
It really does. So, beyond the specific words, let's talk about some useful cultural tips for navigating small talk itself. A good general rule, probably wise in most situations, is to steer clear of sensitive topics, things like salary, religion, politics, unless you know the person really well or the conversation just naturally goes there.
Yeah, you have to feel it out.
For instance, in China, talking about politics, religion, or even personal finances is often seen as taboo in initial chats. And in Turkey, religion can be a very sensitive area, so it's always best to approach with, real respect, or maybe just avoid it early on.
Okay, so if we're avoiding those, what should we talk about?
Well, you can focus on safe, engaging topics, things that are pretty universal. Food is almost always a winner. Holidays, family traditions, maybe keeping it general at first, hobbies. Like in Italy, food, family, soccer.
Hmm.
They're common, they're beloved topics for just casual conversation.
Right. Or in Brazil, Carnival and Samba, those are fantastic conversation starters.
Definitely. And in India, festivals like Diwali are so central to the culture. People often love talking about them. They make for wonderful points of connection.
Another really critical piece is respecting differences in nonverbal communication. We're talking tone of voice, gestures, eye contact. Okay, let's unpack this a bit because it's amazing how much is said without words. It really is.
Yeah.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, there's this useful idea of high context versus low context communication. It's a model from Edward T. Hall. Basically, high context cultures, think places like Japan, China, Korea, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Brazil, people often communicate less directly.
Less directly, how so?
Well, they rely more heavily on shared understanding, on implicit messages. Nonverbal cues are huge: facial expressions, body language, even subtle shifts in tone. Harmony and the group's well-being are often prioritized, so direct disagreement might be, avoided.
Okay, so that's high context. What about low context?
Right, so low-context cultures, this includes countries like Germany, Scandinavia, the United States. Communication tends to be much more explicit and direct. The meaning is really carried in the words themselves. People aren't generally expected to have deep background knowledge of each other to understand the message. It's all laid out.
Huh. So what does that actually look like in practice? How might that cause issues?
Well, imagine someone from a low-context culture talking to someone from a high-context one. The low-context person might seem a bit distant, maybe even unfriendly, because they're not picking up on or giving off those implicit cues the high-context person expects.
Oh, I see.
And conversely, the high-context person might seem vague or maybe even impolite to the low-context person if they don't spell everything out directly. It's fascinating how something as simple as eye contact fits into this.
Yeah, give us an example.
Okay, so in some parts of Asia, avoiding direct eye contact, especially with someone senior or an authority, can actually be a sign of respect. Whereas, in many Western cultures, direct eye contact signals confidence, engagement, honesty even.
Wow. That really highlights how crucial it is to just observe, doesn't it? And adapt, and not just assume your way is the only way or the right way.
Exactly. Observe and adapt.
Okay, to kind of bring these ideas together, let's listen in on a quick role play, a realistic conversation. Let's imagine Lila. She's an international graduate student from Saudi Arabia, and she meets David, who's an English teacher from Canada. They meet at, say, a campus welcome event. Let's pay attention to how they introduce themselves, ask about backgrounds, and maybe navigate some of these cultural nuances respectfully.
Hi there. I don't think we've actually met yet. My name is David. It's really nice to meet you.
Hello, David. I'm Lila. It is a pleasure to meet you, too.
So, Lila, if you don't mind me asking, where are you originally from? I can tell you have a unique accent, and honestly, I always enjoy hearing different pronunciations. It's interesting.
Oh, thank you. I am originally from Saudi Arabia. We value hospitality very much there. Guests are always treated with great respect. And you?
Oh, nice. I'm from Canada. It's a pretty diverse country, too. Lots of people from all sorts of different backgrounds. Much like this university, I suppose. What brings you here to study?
I am here for my graduate studies in engineering. It is quite different from home, yes, but I am enjoying the challenge. In Saudi Arabia, when we meet new people, especially in small talk, it is quite common to ask about their family or their well-being. Is it similar here in Canada?
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, in Western cultures like Canada, we often tend to stick to more sort of neutral topics at first. The weather, maybe what brought you to the event, like this one, just to kind of ease into the conversation. We generally save more personal questions, like about family, for when we know someone a little bit better.
I see. That is a very good tip to remember. Thank you. Also, in my culture, modesty in dress is also very important, especially in public spaces.
Right. That's a really important cultural fact to know, Lila. Thanks for sharing that. It's always so valuable to understand these differences, isn't it? So, if you don't mind switching gears slightly, what specifically do you enjoy most about engineering? What part of it?
I find the problem solving very satisfying, and the professors here, they are excellent.
Oh, that's great to hear. Well, Lila, it was genuinely really nice chatting with you and learning about Saudi culture. I hope you really enjoy your time here. Perhaps we'll run into each other at another campus event sometime.
It was very nice meeting you too, David. Yes, I would like that. Thank you.
So you could hear them using some of those key phrases we talked about. And navigating those potential cultural differences quite beautifully, I thought. Maybe as you listened, you were kind of mentally practicing some of those phrases yourself, thinking about how you might use them in your next conversation.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here, I think, is that even with all these potential differences, all these nuances, that underlying human desire to connect, that's universal, isn't it? It really comes down to empathy and just, well, making an effort, trying to understand where the other person is coming from rather than just imposing our own norms.
Absolutely. Remember, everyone, making small talk, especially across cultures, it isn't about being perfect. Nobody expects perfection. It's really about being curious, being respectful, and just staying open-minded. And honestly, the more you practice, the easier and more natural it gets. You really never know. You might make a fantastic new friend, maybe even a friend for life, just by taking that first step and saying, "Hi, where are you from?" in a thoughtful way.
And that leaves us with maybe an important question for you to ponder. How may just a small mindful shift in your own communication style today, how might that open up an entirely new world of connection for you tomorrow?
Something to think about. We really encourage you to try out some of these expressions, maybe with friends or colleagues or the next new person you meet. The more you practice, the more natural it'll feel. And of course, to continue your learning journey, be sure to explore more deep dives by checking out other episodes. Until next time on The Deep Dive.
Want to practice these phrases? Download your free PDF guide to review vocabulary, role plays, and quizzes. Find the link in the description and pinned comment, and feel free to share it with friends.
Like and subscribe for more English tips.